everyone. My name is Laura Faria. I am a security solutions engineer here at Cisco. And today I will be showing you two demos. First, I'm going to create a multi instance deployment inside of our Firepower Chassis Manager. And then I'm also going to create two Firepower instances inside of a containerized environment using the Firepower Chassis Manager. So if you've ever been interested in multi-instance deployment with our Firepower, this video is. So I'm going to briefly touch on a little bit of multi-instance and how it came about. So originally in a traditional deployment, as we can see here, we used to have separate resources for different traffic types, and these required multiple physical devices. So in this deployment, each firewall operates completely independent with its own applications, interfaces, and resources. And we can see how this can be costly and space intensive, right? And not all resources are going to be utilized evenly. Now, in the middle, we have the multi-context deployment, and this is specifically only for ASA deployments. And so here we have virtual firewalls that are running on a single chassis, and they're sharing the same operating system and physical resources like CPU and memory. Now, while we can segregate a little bit using interfaces and connection limits, we're still the really high resource utilization from one virtual firewall will still impact the other. So this can cause performance issues. Now, the newer way of doing this is called multi-instance deployment. This is available on our Firepower boxes 4100s, 4200s, and 9300s. And here we have applications that are isolated in containerized instances with dedicated resources, and this ensures the separation of data, management planes, and resource allocation. And so this eliminates the resource sharing that we previously saw with the multi-context mode. Now, the good thing about it is that multi-instance is able to support both ASA and FTD code. Plus, it offers newer features such as REST API augmentation for easier management. Okay, so now it's time for the demo. I'm going to go ahead and just sign into my Firepower Chassis Manager. And this is part of our, application-centric infrastructure or ASIC security solutions. Now, while that takes a minute to load, I did want to make sure that the watchers looking at this video understand that although the 4100 series is out and has great performance specs, we do have a much newer box, which is a 4200 series, and that these specs, as you can tell, have significantly increased performances. So although the demo will be run using the 4100 series, I just wanted to make sure that everybody knew that there's also a 4200 series that is available as an option. Okay, so now that I'm logged in, I want to just take a minute to understand the overview of the information. So right here, I have it, displayed my host name, my IP address, the model, the version running, and the state. I also see information about operational time. So I've had my chassis uptime, and any major logs that are of concern are displayed to me right away. So as you know, and as I hover over information, as I hover over certain buttons, there's information that is sent to me or presented to me. Okay, so the first thing I'm going to do is usually once you get a firewall chassis manager, one of the first things that you'll do is you'll set up your interfaces. And so here I can see that I've already set up quite a bit of interfaces, and I can see that these interfaces have 10 gigabit speeds, and I can see that there are different types of interfaces such as management, data, or FTD management. So there's a lot of options here, and I do like the interface, how it has the ability to show me which modules are running and available. Okay, so after you've set up the interfaces, it's also very important to turn on the security engine, which allows a specific set of resources to be run um, separately and more effectively. So make sure that's turned on if you do, or if you are using some of the security inspections. But let's just go ahead and go into our platform settings, which is the first place where we're going to configure actual what we call resource profiles, or um, information about number of cores, and how we want to start to isolate instances from one another. So here it's as simple as create an ad. I just clicked edit so you could see how this one was created. But we've created um, a, a medium, as we're going to call it the name, of a resource profile that has 10 cores, right? And the cores can range anywhere from 6 to 22. And depending on the model that you have, you might have more or less cores to work with. So for now, we'll just do 10 cores for this instance. And now that this one has been created, that's step one. There you have it. You've created a instance within your Firepower Chassis Manager. Now, if I wanted to have isolation between instances for a specific use case, like I have several customers that I'm servicing, and I do not want resources to I don't want them to share resources, then I would continue to just create multiple resource profiles. Maybe if I have 10 customers, I might create 10 resource profiles, one for each customer. And that way I'm sure that my resources are not being shared between one another. So this is kind of how you would go ahead and create that. So it's kind of very simple way to just start off that portion of our demo. But now I'm going to go into my logical instant logical devices and show you how to create devices from those resource profiles. So I've already went ahead and created two instances. So we can see this is an FTD-A and this is an FTD-B. And both of my instances have been created using the resource profile medium, which we created in the last step. You can see the resource profile for this one is medium as well. So what does this state? This states that both of these profiles are sharing the same resource profile called medium. So these are actually containerized instances that I've created. You can see there's more information here as we drop down that I've created that are using that are sharing resources, right? And I did it this way just to show to take this demo one step further and show you how to create containerized instances inside of those multi instances um, that you've created in the past. So we can see here, although these are utilizing the same resources, I've allocated different interfaces. So this is using interface 4 and 5, and this one's using interface 2 and 3. So although they're using the same resources, the data plane is being separated. And we're doing this by allocating a different set of interfaces um, to each logical device. Now, if you wanted to see how I did this, this does have a nice graphical interface on how to drag um, interfaces over to devices. So you can see here I've selected 3 and 4, but I could have selected 6 and 7 and deleted 3 and 4 and 5. So you can kind of mix and match and create segmentation within your network utilizing this powerful feature here. Okay, so I'm going to now that I've created my logical devices, let's take this one step further and actually go into our Firepower Management Center, our FMC, and see what these devices look like in here. So as we can see, there are currently no devices that have been added to my FMC just yet. We will add those together. And so, um, similarly to how you would add devices on a regular FMC from a box or a virtual FTD, we are going to go into here and select Add Device. Now, the information This is something that if you've done FMC before, you are familiar with and you kind of understand how this process works. But I'm just going to go through it quickly just to prove to you that these logical devices work um, as a normal device would. Okay, and I'm going to start the registration from here. Oh, and I'm going to just make sure that there are no managers first. So let me just do. Okay, there are no managers currently configured. And now I will add this manager using the CLI of the device, as well as telling my FMC to receive that information from the FTD, so FTDA. Now I can go into my tasks, and I can see that this device is in the process of being registered. Okay, we do have to wait until the device is fully registered before we add a second device. So I will just give that a little bit of time. Okay, and now that a little bit of time has passed, we can see the FTDA is showing up here. And now we will activate the second FTD. Okay, no managers configured, great. And I will go ahead and send the request from the CLI of FTDB. And then I'll also have to let my FMC know that I'm trying to add a device, which is this IP, FTDB. Okay, I'll just turn some of these on. All right. So we will look at the tasks once again to make sure that registration is taking place. And we can see it's showing up, FTDB is showing up here. That's looking great. And it's slowly registering our FTDB. Now, I do have a quick and dirty script that I'm going to run in order to, because after our FTDs are registered onto our FMC, the next step would be to start looking at security zones and start creating and start placing interfaces inside of security zones to try to further segment our network and provide and create more security within our network. So I do have a quick, and like I said, I do have a quick script that I'm going to run just to fast forward through some of that. So I will go ahead and run that script, and then I will. Then the last thing we will do is we will create communications between the FTD, between a worker working in in VLAN 2 or being serviced by FTDB, and a different worker, let's say worker 3, working behind FTDA, serviced by a different VLAN, and will create communication to an outside endpoint from each workstation. So now that it seems like that went pretty quick. The registration of FTDB is complete. I'm going to go ahead and run my script in order to configure interfaces on both of my FTDs. So you can see that script is running, and pretty quickly I'm able to send REST API requests to my FMC in order to streamline this process. Okay. One thing. Okay, so I went ahead and configured OSPF for both FTDA and FTDB in order for them to be able to communicate with inside workstations. So just to show some of the work that I did, I activated process 1, added an area ID of 0, and I added both FTDA and FTDA out networks. I also added an interface here so I could show what interface is my out. It's ETH2 for FTDA. And I did the same for FTDB. So if I go into here, and I go into routing, OSPF, you can see I activated a process, area of 0 for both FTDB in and out networks. And then I added another interface. So we know that FTDB has an interface of ETH4 as the exit. Okay. Then I went ahead and deployed. And now comes the fun part. Let's see the output. So the first thing I'm going to show is I'm going to show internal pings to both of the workstations. So for my client, I'm able to ping. This is a workstation that is behind FTDB, and this is a workstation that is behind FTDA. So I can see the ping works. So there's ingress coming into both of these. Now, I'm also going to just test the so test the neighbor on both of them. So I know that on A, the interface is going out ETH2, which makes sense. And then for B, the interface is going out ETH4, which makes sense. And lastly, I'm going to do a trace route back to my workstation 1, which is where I did all the work. So this is going to look like 198.18.133.36. And here we can see that it's tracing back, so it knows to go. This is my ETH. This is the interface ETH4, and on the other one, this is, hold on, the same IP address from the other workstation. This is the other interface. So this is interface ETH2, and this is interface ETH4. So we can see that there is traffic going egress as well. So that kind of concludes the demonstration on multi-instance. I hope you're able to follow along. In the video, we were able to show our Firepower Chassis Manager and create a resource profile, which is a single instance that utilizes, its own set of resources. And from there, inside of that instance, we were able to create two containerized FTDs, which were isolated, which the data plane was completely isolated but yet they shared the same resources. So I hope that I was able to prove all of the things of that multi-instance can do, and maybe help you brainstorm some ideas that you can utilize with these devices. Thank you so much. I appreciate you watching.